Hello and welcome to this very special edition of Young Turks Reloaded. I'm Shereen Bhan. My guest today is the quintessential Young Turks. The cliche is that age is just a state of mind, and my guest today is an embodiment of that very cliche. At 95, the founder of DLF, KP Singh, is living life the way that he wants it. He's had an undeniable impact on the Indian real estate story and the Indian economy, and he joins me today to talk about his blueprint for success, not just in business, but also in life. Mr. Singh, what an absolute pleasure it is to have you join me here on the Young Turks podcast. Thanks very much for your time. It's great to be in conversation with you again. And I want to start by asking you about why the decision to title your book, which is really, in your words, a blueprint of your template for success. You call it Why the Heck Not? Why the heck not, Mr. Singh? That kind of is the mantra for your life story, isn't it? You never let an opportunity pass you by.
I do believe that's true. That in my life, whenever an opportunity came, something in me, I didn't let it go. Of course, my mind is, God has given me one gift. It's like a supercomputer. I analyze it. What do I lose? What do I gain?
Huh.
In broadly, if I do quickly, I think I will gain more and may lose little, but subject to that. So I don't let it because I believe every opportunity is like a train standing on a platform. Door opens for a short while. Either you get in, when the door closes, train leaves.
Huh.
Opportunity comes to every human being.
Mm.
It is your smartness how to quickly find out yes and no and then grab it before somebody else grabs it. So my life is full of it. That whenever opportunity is, oh, can you imagine for something as a real estate man has got nothing to do with gas pipelines or completely high-tech compression station turbines. From there, I got onto G, which is, as you know, the most high-tech company in the world, from aviation to locomotive, defense, everything. Back to the, so whenever an opportunity came, I grabbed it and I succeeded. So therefore, I say, why the heck not? Every person should know when opportunity comes. Just one thing: why the heck not? Why should I get it? If you find you can't do it, you find you lose more, then let go. But first try optimistically. Then why not grab it? So
Well,
this is,
speaking of grabbing opportunities, and let's talk about the big opportunity that you decided to grab. Reviving DLF, which was essentially a company that was being run by your father in law, and it was on the behest of your wife and your sister in law that you decided that you wanted to be part of this company. Cut to late 1970s to 1980s, where you then decide that you wanted to build a future city for India. Take me back to that time where you had this conversation under a kikar tree with the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, where really you discussed the idea of Gurgaon.
no, it is started from a different aspect altogether. I got accidentally involved into real estate. I was not. Before that, I was doing manufacturing business and having a nice time. But then the events came such that my late wife and sister, who were having a controlling interest in the name, the company was dormant, completely closed because of 1958 policy of the government, which nationalized the business of urban land development.
Yeah.
So my father decided, he was a very upright man. He said, look, if the government nationalized, let's get out. But the others, which we call the unauthorized developers, fly-by-night operators, got into and started developing unauthorized buildings. So you find all slums, everything is consequent to that decision. DLF was not part of it. But when it came to 73, 74, when her father wanted to give the shares away, they told the girls said, look, we follow, but we are known as DLF girls. And can you? So they asked me, I said, are you asking me something? I know nothing. I know ABC or real estate. I know about manufacturing battery or electrical motor, but nothing.
A little bit about horses as well.
So, and horses. I was polo player. I used to breed horses. So, some events happened. And one sentence which my sister-in-law put it to me. She said, Bhai Saab, I know it is a formidable task because government nationalizes, banks are not giving loan, forbidden to loan. And the most difficult thing is, how do you buy land?
Yeah.
You can buy 5 acre, 10 acre, 20 or maybe 100 acre. But when you're talking a city, you're talking thousands acres. And land is fragmented into feudal families. So it's like an impossible task. So she said, yes, impossible maybe. But if I know you, even if you don't know swimming, you jump in the sea, and we can assure you, if you don't come back, we will not mourn for you. You made an attempt, please, for our sake, make an attempt. That was like my back was against the wall. Can you imagine how do you lobby with the government to change their policy of completely closed to private sector, only public sector could do urban land development. Herculean task. But for me, this God-given gift, I said, what others thought they say impossible, I said, I will attempt to make it possible. And that started my story of getting into DLF. Then I left everything completely. I became not a polo player. I left polo, everything I left my life. I was one task man. How do I get my task completed? And this
And you dedicated 20 years of your life from
yes,
morning to night.
yes, I did.
On acquiring that land. And that, I think, has many interesting insights about that land acquisition process that you pulled through together. As you said, it was virtually impossible to get contiguous land in the country. But let's start by talking about that experience. I know you narrate that incident very, very clear, or that period very clearly in your book, where you would drive out at midnight after leaving a nightclub, and then be on the road, reaching out to farmers, talking to farmers. And you say very clearly, and I think that's a very interesting aspect in the book, that you need to understand people and know their stories to be able to transact with them.
Yes.
Explain to me how you went about this.
You see, again, being a very detailed man, I learned this thing from greatest learning I had in my life. I was blessed with two greatest mentors. George Hoddy, who was a chairman of this American Universal, and Jack Welch. I learned so much from them. And the issue was that before you do any business, it may look like very nice. It's like a Jersey cow. It looks brown on one side, but go the other side is spotted. So you cannot take decision of business unless you see 360 review and review with a negative attitude. Where can we fail? So that teaching was ingrained in me. So I came around that I cannot buy land unless I create a confidence in them that I am one of them and one of the part of the family. So there was an incident which I think made DLF. Otherwise, if I had not taken that decision, DLF would never exist. Impossible. That was 1976. In 1976, a new law came, and I was just learning the rope of DLF. The new law came to India called Urban Land Ceiling Act.
Right.
And that meant that any entity who owns more than 500 yards of vacant land, like outside my house, this is vacant land, that will revert to the government free of cost. It is one of the most wrong laws, draconian laws, hue and cry, but the most affected person were DLF and its customers. Because ever since after independence she started, the thing was you gave plots to these people, or they had property, it was only 5 rupees a yard, 10 rupees a yard, nothing. Can you imagine the whole 500 yards was 5,000 rupees. So, but these guys, title was not passed over majority cases. They revert to the name of the company, and they revert to the government. So what were they asking? They're saying, please refund our money, small money, 5,000. So total money was 1.5 crore. But DLF had no money because DLF had closed its business completely. Question is, how do you? And though there was nothing, there was no asset, there was no business DLF. So the issue was, and since I'm a very detailed man, I said, let me read this law myself. So I called the company secretary, I said, show it to me. It's only 30 pages law. So I read it and I found one para.
The loophole.
Loophole. No loophole, a provision. It said, if any provision of this law brings hardship to a common man, then by notification, government could exempt it. I caught that point. I went to and I found wherever I met people, they were very objective, frankly, professional. I still remember the name of the person. It was N.J. Kamath. He was Secretary Ministry of Industrial, Secretary of Urban Development. I went to Kamath Saab. He looked, I said, this is not, as poor people have paid 20 years, 30 years back. Their property is going now, reverting. So he said, well, you have a point, but this law is directly dictated by the Prime Minister. And but I see your point. So I said, sir, if you were them, what would you feel? Is it not a hardship to a common man? He said, yes. He said, leave it to me. Let me. So he then on his own went to Cabinet Secretary and this and that. Finally, they had a meeting with Indira Gandhi and said that this is a hardship clause. And got the informal from her, okay, bring to the Cabinet this notification we could do. When this news was given to me stupidly, which I was supposed to keep confidential, they told, don't tell, because it will take about 3 weeks before it gets on to the stage.
Yeah.
So what I did was, I came back to my office, and retired people, like I remember the still name of Mr. Tyal, he used to be a financial advisor, very old gentleman, nice, and some people. My father-in-law was also retired. They all said, having a cup of tea in F40 cannot place.
Right.
So I came back, and stupidly, I said, this is good news possibly. So they said, at this time then, borrow money, return, because if this comes in, you will be a billionaire, because all the land comes to you. What was 5,000 to 5 lakhs rupees a yard? The prices of all the lands is not so high. So I said, it is not sinking in me. So I said, why is it not sinking? I said, it is to my knowledge now. So I remember I written this. Tyal Sahab said, KP Sahab, आप तो आर्मी में ठीक थे, आप कहाँ गए इसमें? या और दूसरा कहते या महात्मा गांधी जी या कोई प्रीस्ट हो जाते, ये बिजनेस है. मैंने कहा त्याल साहब, मैं बिजनेस अपनी एथिक्स से करूँगा. That time my father said, बेटा तुमने, you are running it, take a decision. I said, my decision is, I will make them millionaire first, then they will make me a billionaire. Exactly what happened. Moral of the story is, I decided that day, ethics and morality of a businessman should be always the keystone of the policies, and should never be deflected for greed for making money by cutting corners. Now that thing, when it went around, thousands and thousands of farmers who had forgotten when they had property, they became millionaires, and they are all married, they're interconnected in Gurugram. And thereafter is the old story, money was flooded. Banks were flooded with the money. We were not short of money. Till that time, we had no money. Nothing. By the way, then what happened? Farmers, since I decided to win them over, and you are right, 10, 12 years, a marriage bureau, I made it around. And
A banking service also.
Banking service, payable when able, means anytime, bank, whatever money you require, they bought land, same time, they deposited in a company. Can you imagine? It's unheard of. In fact, the study was carried out by various firms, and I know USA, AID, and there's some team from Harvard and all the came. They thought they would never happen anywhere in the world that you can buy land from farmers on a basis payable and able, and there was not single litigation, not a single litigation, and farmers prospered. So I would call this was a policy based upon my analysis that it's not the money, it is I have to win them over, not by showing off, by genuine steps. And I succeeded. It took me 10, 12 years. And that's how the DLF thing came around.